Every day we're sold a myth that there's a secret to success, that greatness strikes like lightning with one breakthrough, one sudden flash of genius, or one bold leap of faith that changes everything. It's a seductive story and easy to believe because who doesn't want to be remembered? But this? This is not how you become great. Millions of people spend their whole lives waiting for that one idea, that one moment, that one epic struggle where they finally get to shine, where they can become who they were always meant to be. But they forget that the people they admire, the icons, the legends, they don't rise to the top by doing extraordinary things. They simply follow a pattern, quietly, consistently, and over time. Because the truth about success is far less glamorous than what you see in the movies. It's subtle, it's silent, and it hides in plain sight. And yet it's far more powerful than you could ever realize. Behind every extraordinary life is a simple habit, so small and so ordinary that it's almost invisible. But once you see it, you can never unsee it. And once you live by it, your success becomes inevitable. This habit is the slight edge. It happens each and every day. Millions of people wake up in the same neighborhoods, drive the same roads, to the same cities, to work the same hours at the same jobs. They live side by side. They have the same opportunities, and yet some of them build thriving careers, stay healthy, and live lives full of purpose, while others, they struggle. They live from one paycheck to the next, feeling miserable, stuck, trapped, like no matter what they do, they're never truly moving forward. But why? Is it talent, intelligence, luck? That's what we're told, but the truth really is far simpler and far more powerful. Every day we are faced with choices, big and small. The world would have you believe that the direction of your life depends on the big dramatic moments, promotions, breakthroughs, layoffs, the kind of heartbreak that leaves you gasping for air. But the truth is, the moments that shape your life are rarely loud. They're forgettable. People love to blame their failures on extraordinary events, strokes of bad luck, unfair bosses, missed opportunities. But failure doesn't come in a single crash. It happens when you hit snooze, when you skip a workout, when you spend instead of saving, when you say,
"Just this once,"
again and again. Nothing happens at first. Eat fast food once, skip the gym once, waste a bit of money, life goes on. There's no pain, no consequences or warning signs, but do it again and again and again, and these invisible choices begin to stack. Suddenly, the compound effect kicks in, and before you know it, you look nothing like the person you could have been. The same principle applies in reverse. People love to mock overnight celebrities, millionaires, and athletes, thinking they don't really deserve their lot in life, that they were given their grace, their talent, and their intelligence, but they were not. Before they had your attention, these were just ordinary people doing the right things with extraordinary consistency. Every success story, every big achievement, and every fortune ever made begins with the tiny, nearly invisible choices each of us makes every single day. But the things that aren't talked about, the things that don't get praise, 10 pages of a book, 10 more minutes of effort, one good decision made again and again. As time goes on, these invisible choices compound, and eventually they define you. This is the slight edge, the small, seemingly insignificant choices you make each day that over time compound into either success or failure. But this is why for many, success remains elusive. They want money, they want health, they want love, but they want it now. So they make moonshot investments, hit the gym as if it were a battlefield, and set big goals at the start of each year, and they burn out before the momentum even has time to build. Because success doesn't come in a moment. It comes when you choose a healthier meal, a little less time scrolling, waking up early, saving $5, putting in more effort than the person next to you. True success doesn't happen in an instant. It grows quietly, gradually, in the small daily choices that might look and feel forgettable today, but eventually come to define who we are. Those who truly understand this know that the most successful people in the world aren't always the one making the boldest moves, but the ones who stay consistent with the little things for the longest time. They're not lucky, they're not chosen, they're just walking a different path. You can't see it, you can't smell it or touch it, but the slight edge is real. There comes a time in everyone's life when they're faced with the question, who do I want to be? And from that point on, every little decision puts them on one of two paths. But here's the danger. One path leads to wealth, health, wisdom, fulfillment. The other, to regret, mediocrity, and wasted potential. And the only thing separating them is the choices you make when no one is watching. Because the slight edge is always working, and it doesn't care which direction you choose. If you read 10 pages of a book today, you won't wake up a genius tomorrow. But if you don't read them, you won't wake up ignorant either. In the beginning, both paths seem alike. There are no rewards and no congratulations, but there are also no signs of trouble and no warnings. Most people drift. They wake up one day and ask, how did I get here? But a few, the rare few who understand the slight edge, they walk with intention. They play the long game. They know that greatness is built in silence, one quiet decision at a time. Anyone can achieve massive success by applying the slight edge to their lives, and this is how. It always begins the same way. There's a moment in everyone's life when something shifts. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks, but with a quiet, ordinary moment. You're standing at the sink, doing dishes, or walking home alone, and suddenly you think, this can't be it. That's your moment, your inflection point, because whether you realize it or not, you're standing at a crossroads and no one else can choose for you. Imagine a ship drifting in open water. It doesn't look like it's moving, but day by day, tide by tide, it drifts off course. Now picture that same ship making just a 1-degree correction. It's barely noticeable, but over weeks, months, and years, it ends up on a completely different shore. That's the slight edge. 1 degree of intention, one quiet choice. That's all it takes to change everything, but it's you who has to choose. And this is how it all begins. Not with a wish, but with the quiet moment where you decide who you're going to be. Are you someone who presses snooze, or someone who gets up? Are you someone who does enough, or someone who does the extra rep, the extra page, goes the extra mile? The world is full of people who want things. They want to be fit, they want to be successful, they want a better life. But the slight edge doesn't respond to 99% commitment. It means no longer blaming your parents, your past, or your lack of motivation. It means letting go of comfort and taking responsibility for where you end up. You're either all in or you're not. This is why decision matters so much, because when you decide to change with absolute commitment, your life begins to reorganize around that choice. A decision is powerful, but without action, it's nothing. Every new year, millions of people make a decision. They decide to get fit, to start saving, start living differently. And for a while, they do. They exercise, they eat healthy, they read, they journal, meditate. But then the momentum fades. Life gets in the way. They miss one day, then two, and slowly they go back to who they were. Because decisions might start the journey, but only consistency builds the life you want. You can't plant 10 seeds in a day, dump water on them, and expect to see results by the weekend. You have to plant one seed, water it just a little, come back the next day, and the day after, and the day after that. A few weeks later, the seed begins to germinate, and years down the line, it blossoms into a majestic tree. This is how the slight edge works. Not with extraordinary intensity, but with consistency. This is where most people give up. Not because they're weak or lazy or broken, but because consistency takes time to bear fruit. And in that waiting, they lose faith. We've been trained to chase dramatic transformations. Lose 20 pounds in 10 days, make $1 million this year, change your life instantly. If it doesn't happen fast, something must be wrong. But that's not how the world works. The slight edge doesn't reward big bursts of effort. It rewards what you do when no one's watching. It rewards the person who wakes up even when they don't feel like it. The one who reads 10 pages when it would be easier to scroll. The one who still eats clean on a weekend. The one who keeps going because they made a choice. Success isn't reserved for the ultra-talented or the ultra-rich. It belongs to those who learn to show up every day, rain or shine. Over time, your life bends in the direction of your habits. It's not what you do once in a while that shapes your life. It's what you do consistently. And the funny thing is, these choices, the ones that matter the most, are usually easy. Easy to do, but just as easy not to. It's easy to save $5. Easy to blow it on coffee. Easy to hit the gym. Easy to hit snooze. Easy to open a book. Easy to say, I'll start it tomorrow. And that's the danger, because the small things don't feel like they matter, but over time, they become everything. This is the discipline of consistency. It isn't sexy, it isn't exciting, but it's real. Inevitably though, every person on this path will hear a voice, and it's not loud. It whispers, just this once. You've earned a break. You can start tomorrow. Unfortunately, some will listen. Because that extra snooze, that late night binge, that skipped workout, that impulse purchase, it feels better right now. This is the hidden enemy of success. We chase pleasure thinking it's progress. We confuse comfort with happiness, relief with reward, dopamine with direction. And it's not your fault. The modern world is engineered to pull you off course. Apps, ads, clickbait, caffeine. Everything is designed to give you tiny hits of satisfaction, but over time, these small compromises add up, and by the time you realize it, you're already far off course. Every easy choice today creates a harder life in the future, just like every hard choice today creates a better life tomorrow. Those who live with the slight edge, they understand that success doesn't come from what feels good now. They're not seduced by shortcuts. They don't chase hacks, formulas, or get-rich-quick schemes. They are doing the real work, quietly, repetitively. And the irony is that the discipline that once felt like a sacrifice eventually becomes a joy. You start to enjoy the workout. You crave the clarity of eating clean. You feel proud after saving money instead of spending it. You rewire your brain to crave growth over comfort. This is what the slight edge demands, not the rejection of pleasure, but the courage to delay it. Not because you're punishing yourself, but because you're building something that lasts, choosing meaning over mood. Anyone can do what feels moment, but the person who wins is the one who thinks in years, not minutes. But at the end of the day, it's not just about showing up. It's about how you show up, not with perfection, not with fanfare, but with intention. Doing the right thing and doing it well. This is the true essence of the slight edge. Because success doesn't just come from massive goals or brilliant ideas. It comes from brushing your teeth every night. It comes from giving someone your full attention. It comes from doing the little things properly. It's easy to ignore them, to throw on whatever clothes are clean, to mumble through a conversation, to write a to-do list and never follow through. But it's also just as easy to iron your shirt, to meet someone's eyes when you shake their hand, to close your tabs and actually finish what you start. These aren't difficult things. They're forgettable, unsexy, uncelebrated, but they are the bricks your future is made of. You're successful because you had one good day. You become successful because you had thousands of quiet ones, where you kept your word, where you moved with purpose, where you cleaned your kitchen, paid your bills, showed up on time, and did your job like it mattered. Most people live their lives doing things just well enough. They write the email, but they don't reread it. They show up to work, but they don't bring their full focus. They say I love you, but they say it half-heartedly. And in a single moment, these things might not matter, but in the grand scheme of things, they become everything. The difference between showing up late and showing up early, between sort of listening and really listening, it's the difference between a person you forget and a person who gets promoted, who gets remembered, who gets respect. The slight edge isn't just about doing things, it's about doing them with care, even when no one's watching. especially when no one's watching. How you do anything is how you do everything. People don't wake up one day and become excellent. They become excellent by stacking thousands of little acts of effort, honesty, and discipline. So do the right thing and do it well, whether it's how you start your morning or how you say goodnight. That's how the world starts to bend in your favor. Not all at once, but quietly, inevitably, and completely. And one day, someone will look at your life and say they're just built different, but you'll know the truth. You just made a habit of doing the little things right. At first, nothing happens. It's the nature of the slight edge. You show up, you do the work, you make the small decisions, and you get no standing ovation. Just you quietly doing the right thing. But one day, seemingly out of nowhere, something will change. You'll land the job, hit the goal, you'll step into the life you used to dream about. And the funny thing is, the world will suddenly rush in and try to explain it. They'll call you gifted, lucky, an overnight success. They'll say he came out of nowhere, but you'll know you didn't. You were there the whole time, reading when no one cared, training when no one was watching, building habits nobody praised, becoming someone the world hadn't met yet. And now that they've noticed, it doesn't even matter, because you didn't do it for them. You did it for the person you decided to become. This is how success really works. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It builds like a wave, quiet, unstoppable. And when it finally crests, it carries you with it. Not because you forced it, or because you hacked the system, but because you honored the process when it felt like nothing was working. This is the moment the curve turns exponential, the moment you become lucky. But behind every lucky break is an endless string of ordinary days where you did the right thing. But now that begs the question. You know the power of small, consistent, intentional action, but while the slight edge is simple, it's not automatic. It has to be applied. First, focus on your health, because no matter how much success you build, how much money you earn, or how far you climb, everything rests on the foundation of your body. And yet, the actions that support that foundation are the smallest ones of all. Drink a glass of water when you wake up. Get a full night's sleep, take the stairs, go for a walk, skip the soda. Each of these choices takes seconds, feels like nothing, but a year from now, you'll either feel like a different person or like you're falling apart. The slight edge doesn't demand perfection, it demands presence. To know that the apple you eat today matters, the workout you don't skip matters. The habits that feel invisible, they become your health. Not in a week, not in a month, but over time. And when your body is strong, anything is possible. Then apply the slight edge to nurture your relationships. Nothing shapes your life more than the people in it. But like anything else worth having, relationships don't grow or wither away by accident. Relationships don't die from one day to the next. It happens in the unsent messages, the conversations never had, the assumptions left unspoken. Likewise, strong relationships are built from little, consistent moments. Not big cinematic speeches, but the small things. A text that says, "thinking of you." A genuine compliment, looking someone in the eye when they speak. None of it takes long, none of it costs much. But the people who feel seen, heard, and loved by you today become the ones who stand by you tomorrow. Remember, at any given point, you're either building a bridge or letting it quietly fall apart. Next, use the slight edge to grow yourself. Not for validation, not to impress others, but because you have potential. And what a shame it would be to leave it untapped. But the truth is, growth doesn't look like a movie montage. It looks like 10 minutes of reading a book, a moment of intentional reflection, a single choice to learn instead of distracting yourself. You won't notice the difference in a day or even a week, but 6 months later, your thoughts are sharper, your confidence is stronger, your direction is clearer. Most people never feel that shift because they never start. They wait to feel ready, wait for the right course, the right coach, the right moment. But growth doesn't wait. It begins the second you do something small and you do it consistently. One day you'll wake up and realize you don't just feel better, you are better. And finally, apply the slight edge to money. Money isn't everything, but it determines what kind of life you get to build. What most people never understand, however, is that wealth doesn't come from massive salaries or lucky breaks. It comes from respect. Respect for your time, respect for your future, respect for the power of small financial decisions. Save $5 today. Say no to something you don't need. Make a small investment and let it grow. It won't make you rich overnight, but it sets a direction. And if you keep moving forward day after day, the results become undeniable. Not because you got lucky, but simply because you made the kind of decisions most people overlook. The slight edge doesn't care about how much you earn. It only cares how consistent you are with what you have. Because financial freedom doesn't begin with more money, it begins with better choices. These 4 pillars, health, relationships, growth, and money, are the foundation of a complete life. But they won't build themselves. You build them, quietly, daily, consistently. Now you've heard the ideas. You've seen the power of small steps, of consistency, of doing the right things well. But still, something might be missing. For decades, running a 4-minute mile was considered impossible. Doctors said the human body couldn't withstand it. Runners tried and failed at it for years. But then, in 1954, Roger Bannister did it. He broke past the barrier, and within just weeks, other runners began breaking it too. But it wasn't the training that had changed, or the track, or the shoes. The world just needed one example before it could start believing more was possible. This is the power of belief. The slight edge isn't just a strategy to be applied, it's something you have to believe in. The people who succeed in life aren't always the smartest, they aren't always the fastest or the most talented, they just think differently. They see the world through a lens that says, I can grow, this is possible, my actions matter. To create results, you have to change more than your behavior. You must change your beliefs. Because the world has a funny way of reflecting that which you expect to see. Focus on problems, and problems will find you. Focus on progress, and you'll start seeing it everywhere. This isn't mere optimism, it's direction. Your beliefs fuel your thoughts. Thoughts lead to actions. Actions form habits. Habits shape identity, and identity defines outcomes. Everything starts with belief. So where do you begin? Pick one area to improve. Not all of them at once, just one, and start in whatever capacity you can. Want to get in shape? Go for a walk. Want to learn? Read 1 page. Want to save money? Put $1 aside. It doesn't matter what you pick. What matters is that you begin. Track the small things. The world conditions us to focus on big goals, but the slight edge lives in the small ones. Every glass of water, every workout, every moment you choose belief over doubt. Track them, count them, understand they matter, because what you measure, you improve. Choose your circle carefully. Your mindset isn't just shaped by what you think, it's shaped by who you're around. Spend time with complainers, and you'll inherit their excuses. Spend time with slight edge thinkers, and you'll adopt their discipline. If you want to grow, find people who are growing. If you want to believe, surround yourself with people who already do. Try this. Not for a week, not for a month. Try it for a year and commit to it. Do it. 1 full year of small, consistent action. Because the slight edge works quietly, invisibly, until one day it doesn't. One day, the results will be evident, and people will ask you, how did you do it? They'll say you're lucky, that you're gifted, that something just clicked, but you'll know better. You didn't do anything dramatic. You just did what you had to do. You did it consistently, and you did it well. Remember, success doesn't arrive with a parade, and failure doesn't strike like lightning. Life changes in whispers, quiet moments when you do the right thing, or you don't. 1 skipped workout, or 1 extra rep. $1 saved, $1 wasted. 1 hour used, 1 hour lost. These are the moments that shape a life. The world will never notice them. Not at first, but eventually the difference becomes undeniable. That's the slight edge. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being lucky. It's about being willing. Willing to take one small step, and then another, until one day you wake up and you're living the life you once dreamed of. Not because you had a breakthrough, but because you didn't stop. So here you are, standing at the crossroads. One path leads to comfort, familiarity, and regret. The other, it's steep, lonely, and demanding. But it leads to something far greater and far more sublime than the transient pleasures of everyday life. It leads to your ultimate potential, to the person you are always capable of becoming. So take the step, not the leap, not the sprint, just the next small step and the next one, and keep going from there. Because the slight edge isn't just a philosophy, it's the silent force that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. One day, one simple action at a time. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, and if you want to immerse yourself in another book-turned-blockbuster, click the video on screen right now to find out if it is possible, really, to think and grow rich.